we pray. Kneeling low, hear what we say. Freedom calls in every tone. Faith is built on hearts of stone. Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp, they cut right through. Real talk for the soul's appeal. Prayers rise up the wounds they heal. Lift our voices to the sky. A righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down. For the Father wears the crown. Each step brings another fight. Breaking chains, we're seeking light. Voice of power won't be tamed. With his love, we're never shamed. Lift our voices to the sky. A righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down. For the Father wears the crown. From the ashes we shall rise. Hope is found deep in our eyes. Every word a battle cry. With the Father none deny.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to ARP in the morning. It's your host Wise, and we got a pretty good show today, man. We got a pretty good show. I appreciate you all pulling up. We have 123 people in the building. Please make sure you hit that like button for me. Make sure you hit that like button for me, man. But I appreciate you all pulling up this morning. Got to show some love, man. Early, who pulled up. PK Krillin, man, shout out to you, brother. First chat in the building this morning. Shout out to Marianne as well. Big job for it. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you pulling up as always. Thank you very much for pulling up. True Texan in the building. What's up, Regina? How you doing this morning, sister? I'm gonna reach out to you. I'm gonna reach out to you today. We're gonna do a panel show on Friday, so I want you to be a part of that if that's something that you can do. But I'll shoot you an email here in a little bit or a little later today. Shout out to Scott Jung. Scott Jung, good morning to you, brother. Tina Hall, appreciate you. What's up, Zephyr? How you doing this morning? Y'all make sure y'all follow this young lady's instructions. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Smash that like button for me. What up, Scott 8T8? Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Caldwell? How you doing? Christy, how you doing this morning? Chi-Town in the building. What's going on? Is it Cairo? Appreciate you. Hey, Marla, how you doing this morning? Nameless one. Appreciate you all pulling up. Hey, man, we had a pretty good show yesterday. And I know I mentioned to you all that, you know, whatever you guys donated to the show via Super Chat, Super Thanks, we would match that and we would put a donation out there for Sheldon Daniels. And I am happy to announce, and I want to pull this up for you because I like to show receipts. Now, I did have to blur some stuff because I don't want all y'all knowing all my daggone information, where I live at and all that kind of stuff. But I want to share this with you all just so you can see it. We had donations almost at $500 yesterday. I am a man of my word. almost at $500. I went ahead and just rounded that up to 1,000. And obviously you can see that that $41 is, all the processing fees and all that other kind of stuff. So we took care of that as well. So we're able to donate $1,000 to Sheldon Daniels' campaign yesterday. And man, shout out to each and every one of you guys, man, who donated and just supported, this young man, in his fight for representative of District 30 out there in Texas. Phenomenal. So I wanted to share that with you all and just let you know that, man, that was freaking awesome, man. That was awesome to do. And you guys showed out yesterday. Y'all showed out yesterday, man. So God bless you all. God bless each and every one of you all for sowing into this brother, family man, and somebody I believe that can get in there and, try to right some of the wrongs that's going on and really just, fight for the American people out here, man. So God bless you all, man. Thank you very much. Shout out to Gerard Coswell kicking things off with the $5 super chat. Shout out to him. He says, I will find the Lord when I seek him with all my heart and with all my soul. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 29. Missed everyone yesterday. Have a blessed day. Appreciate you. Appreciate the $5 super chat, man. God bless you. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Appreciate you. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was awesome, man. Thank you, Dr. Silla. Yeah, that was a good, quick fundraiser, man. And, I thought that was phenomenal. I thought it was phenomenal. Obviously there's a lot of haters out there. There's a lot of haters out there, but it is what it is. If people in the chat, could ask, how to, or show these folks how to do a super chat or something along those lines. That'd be nice. Shout out to Sean Cross for the $5 super chat. A tip in the tip jar. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you very much. All righty. Make sure you guys hit that like button, man. We're going to get the show started. We are going to get things kicked off today. Super chat, stop the show. Super thanks, stop the show. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the love. And we'll get things kicked off. Give me 1 second here. Want to remove that, man. But yeah, I thought that was phenomenal. What happened yesterday, man, you guys showed up and showed out, man. That was awesome, man. So it was awesome to be able to bless him, with that yesterday. So let's get the show started.
Any of the practices that your national security officials used after a reporter was inadvertently added to a group chat about attacks on Yemen?
Well, I think it's a question I've been asked now, and I've given a few answers, and they've all been the same. We have an amazing group. Our national security now is stronger than it's ever been. We have had a very, very successful, numerous attacks in that area. These are people that shoot down ships, not only our ships, ships all over the world. They're shooting down right out of the water and damaging them badly, or they're going down. They're also shooting anything that happens to be flying in the area. We hit them very, very hard. There was no classified information, as I understand it. They used a app, if you want to call it an app, that a lot of people use, a lot of people in government use, a lot of people in the media use, and I think.
All right, so let's get it started, man. So if you've been watching the media spin machine lately, if you've been watching it, you've probably seen them lose their minds over this Signal app story involving the Trump administration. But as usual, the facts are getting twisted, the outrage is selective, and the real issues are being buried. So let's get into it. Let's break it down real fast. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I felt like, it's worth discussing today. So some of the Trump officials were using Signal, which is an encrypted messaging app, very similar. Yeah, maybe it's not very similar, but if you guys are familiar with WhatsApp, which is another encrypted messaging app, I personally don't use Signal, and I don't really use WhatsApp, although I have it. I'm not a big fan, of these applications. But if you live in another country, I've downloaded when I've traveled because it makes it easy to, reach out to folks here in the States. But Signal, it's an encrypted messaging app, to discuss, a military response, to the Houthis out in Yemen. That's what they were using it for. the left-wing media, especially folks like Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic, are acting like this is the second coming of Watergate. I mean, they're claiming that sensitive war plans and classified information were shared in a group chat, except there's no actual evidence of any of that happening. So, I mean, I really don't know, where this came from, and I think a lot of folks are still waiting on proof. But hey.
Any of the practices that your national security officials used after a reporter was inadvertently added to a group chat about attacks on Yemen?
Well, I think it's a question I've been asked now, and I've given a few answers, and they've all been the same. We have an amazing group. Our national security now is stronger than it's ever been. We have had a very, very successful, numerous attacks on that area. These are people that shoot down ships. Not only our ships, ships all over the world, they're shooting down right out of the water and damaging them badly, or they're going down. They're also shooting anything that happens to be flying in the area. We hit them very, very hard. There was no classified information, as I understand it. They used a app, if you want to call it an app, that a lot of people use, a lot of people in government use, a lot of people in the media use, and I think.
All righty, we got a super chat here from Mr. Ivan with the all caps. Appreciate the $5 super chat. He has a question, it seems like. Do you know when the president can use the Alien Enemy Act? I don't. I'd have to do some research on it, like everything else that I do. I'd have to do some research, but if you'd like to enlighten us, in the chat, I'd love to hear from you, but I do appreciate the super chat. Thank you, man. I'm assuming that your attempt to defend, the illegal immigrants that's been, deported. I'm not really understanding, why so many people are, defending these people. I don't really understand it, but, to each his own. This is a free country. You can do that. But let's talk about this for a second here. Let's be real. Using this Signal application, man, I don't know if it's some nefarious act. I really don't. I mean, they say it's secure. It's an encrypted platform. In fact, there are current agencies using it right now. The CIA, the State Department, they've been using it. They've been using Signal for years. Even Tulsi Gabbard and John Ratcliffe, who were part of this chat, they testified that no classified material was discussed. Ratcliffe even said that Signal was installed on his government-issued computer, when he was, the CIA director. That's how standard this thing is. So I really don't know. I really don't know why this is a big deal, but, it is what it is.
That I was briefed on very early, Senator, was by the CIA records management folks about the use of Signal as a permissible work use. It is. That is a practice that preceded the current administration to the Biden administration.
Director Ratcliffe, I've got a series of questions. If you're making the statement that Signal is a secure channel.
No, can I answer that? It is.
I've got a series
of decryption. So to finish,
I understand encryption.
It is permissible to use to communicate and coordinate for work purposes, provided, Senator, that any decisions that are made are also recorded through formal channels. Right. So those were procedures that were implemented. My staff implemented those processes, followed those processes, complied with those processes, and finally, just please. So,
what's going on, RJ Hudson?
The defense secretary or others, after this specific military planning was put out, and say, hey, we should be doing this in a skiff?
There was no classified material that was shared in that.
So then, if there was no
check.
classified material, share it with the committee. You can't have it both ways. These are important jobs. This is our national security. Bobbing and weaving and trying to, filibuster your answer. So please answer the question.
So all of a sudden they're concerned with national security. We just let 20 some odd million people come over here some of them known people on the terrorist watch list, and all of a sudden these people are in an uproar about national security. It's crazy, man. It is crazy. You know, and what's funny to me is that this just happened, and there's already hearings on this. I mean, it literally just happened, and they are already having hearings. It's amazing how fast things happen when it involves folks on the right. It's amazing. But there you have it. You know, no classified material leaked, and the media is still in full-on meltdown mode. Full-on meltdown mode. And I know everybody is asking the question that I'm asking is why, but we all know the answer. The answer is because they're desperate to tie Trump to some new scandal. Some on the left have been using, you know, this as a comparison to Hillary Clinton's private server situation, which, I mean, that's a reach. It's a reach. Hillary Clinton was sending top secret and sensitive compartmentalized information, you know, these types of documents through a private, unsecured server in her basement that any high school student could have daggone hacked into. She literally had a unsecured server in her basement that any halfway decent high school hacker with some skills could have broke into. Here's Senator Mullen breaking down how ridiculous this comparison is. I mean, these people are in an outrage. I mean, they're just outraged about national security all of a sudden when we literally just let 20 plus million people come over here. Unvetted, some with ties to terrorist organizations. And all of a sudden, you guys have a concern about national security. I just don't get it, man. These people are just hypocrites, man.
The signal thing again with the Houthis. It's interesting to me that the Democrats are losing their loving mind over this. There was no classified information that was being shared over Signal. Signal is an encrypted app that's somewhat secured. Was the conversation something that could have happened or should have happened? I don't know, but at least it was a conversation. But to compare the two between Hillary Clinton and what President Trump's cabinet members were doing is absolutely absurd. It's not even comparing apples and oranges. At least both of those are somewhat in the same shape. This is like comparing an apple to a steak. There is no comparison at all between the two. Hillary Clinton was sending classified documents that were stamped TS or TSSCI. There was no classified documents. There was no classified information. It may have been sensitive, but it was an open conversation that was taking place over an important issue. And we should be glad that the conversation took place. You could see that people had input. It was thoughtful. It was collective. And at the end of the day, they did the right thing. They went right after this terrorist organization and shut them up. Thank God we have a president that's leading from strength.
Okay, so they're losing their minds over this. They are. They're losing their minds over this. They are. And maybe, this is a misstep. Maybe that is the case. Maybe this is a misstep, but this is the only misstep, in my opinion, that the Trump cabinet has made so far. And these folks have jumped all over it. And let's not forget the Democrats suddenly pretending to care about national security. Let's not pretend like they care about this for real, because they don't. You guys realize that there is a bill that will go to the House here in the very near future to stop sending $40 million to the Taliban. Let's see if these people actually care about national security and stop funding terrorists. Where was this energy, man? Where was this energy when the Biden administration botched the Afghanistan withdrawal, which basically sacrificed the lives of 13 American service members? Where was that at? Where was that energy at? Where's the outrage over, these far left domestic terrorists, setting fire to, Tesla dealerships and sabotaging infrastructure? Where is that at? Where is the outrage? Where is the outrage to the cause of the, 11 to 21 million illegal immigrants that have come over here? Some, I say again, that have been on the terrorist watch list, and so many others that probably are part of these organizations, but they're just not on the watch list yet. And some of these people are still in the country and we don't know who they are. We don't know where they are. Now they want to obsess over a text message in a group chat. And here's what really happened, man. Someone in the national security advisor in Mike Waltz's office accidentally added Jeffrey Goldberg to a signal group with senior Trump officials. Now, whoever that individual is, I think he needs to be up out of there. That's a mistake, but that's a costly mistake. Whoever that individual is that accidentally did it, and we can say accidentally because you just never know with these people. Maybe you did it on purpose. I don't know how you accidentally add somebody to a chat like that. I just don't. I don't know how you accidentally do something along those lines. But, Trump confirmed himself saying that a staffer had Goldberg's number saved in the contact list and it got added unintentionally. Okay, so maybe it was one of those situations to where, when you add this app on your phone, it asks you, do you want to add all your contacts? And then maybe he accidentally pushed yes or something, I guess. I don't know. But did it compromise the mission in Yemen? No, it did not. Did it stop the operation? No, it did not. The strike went forward. It was successful. They were able to do what they wanted to do. They took out key Houthi targets. A mistake was made. A mistake was made. But the media, they don't care about the fact that the mission was still accomplished. They don't care about it. They don't want to talk about, about Trump's decisive action, about the hostages being freed or, sea lanes being secured. They want to distract from his foreign policy wins with a nothing burger of a scandal. A mistake was made. An American journalist was added. Okay. The mission was still completed. The mission was still completed. They handled business. They don't want to talk about it, though. Because what we know about legacy media is their job is not to share the wins of the United States of America. That's not their job. Their job is to try to expose, to take down this administration by any means necessary. They don't care. And if this Goldberg character was a true patriot, somebody that actually cared about the country, instead of writing a story about it, he would have went back to the people that added him in there and said, hey, man, I think y'all made a mistake. If he actually really cared about the nation. A mistake was made. This guy decided to make it a scandal. And let's talk about Goldberg for a second. I mean, this man, he claims to have, seen classified information in the chat, but hasn't released anything that actually proves that. Now he's released, some additional, messaging and things of that nature, but where's the proof? Where's the proof that he actually had a chance to see some classified information? Because if you're willing to write a story about it, I would assume that you are willing to, maybe release the proof of these documents that you had access to, even if it's just, redacted or something along those lines. He hadn't done that yet, but instead he went on CNN, saying, well, Hegseth was texting war plans and, was texting, attack plans, but I won't publish it because it's too confidential. That's what he said. So people are just supposed to believe this individual. Like legacy media doesn't lie. I don't know, man.
Source tonight is the reporter at the center of this story, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg. And it's great to have you here tonight. I want to start by getting your reaction to what we heard from Secretary Hegseth there, saying that nobody was texting war plans. Given you were privy to this group chat, is that how you saw it?
No, that's a lie. He was texting war plans. He was texting attack plans. When targets were going to be targeted, how they were going to be targeted, who was at the targets, when the next sequence of attacks were happening. I didn't publish this, and I continue not to publish it because it felt like it was too confidential, too technical, and I worry, honestly, that sharing that kind of information in public could endanger American military personnel. But no, they were plans for the attack.
So I guess he has, at least maybe he says he's trying to come across like he has enough integrity that, he doesn't want to, put Americans in harm's way. Okay. Okay. The mission is over with now. Mission's over with now. It's mission's complete now. Oh, man. Honestly, guys, put a 1 in the chat, man. Do you really think that someone like Jeffrey Goldberg wouldn't publish those texts if he actually had them? If you think that a sleazeball like this, who is willing to do what he's doing right now, if he had those documents, put a 1 in the chat if you think he would actually publish it. If he had it and he could use those documents to take President Trump down, put a 1 in the chat if y'all think he would actually do it if he had it. Because I believe that if he had it, he would do it. These people, they don't have, he act like he's like he's standing on some type of moral high ground. These people don't care. Are you freaking kidding me? Come on, man. If he had it, I 100% believe if he had what he says he has, he would have published it. Even if it was redacted and things of that nature, he would have published it to prove that this happened. I mean, it would be a major scandal. And honestly, I mean, him even being added, obviously, it's putting him, it's put him on the national news. He'll probably write a book about this. He'll probably get a book deal and write a book about it. I don't know, man. But it'd be a major scandal. But he hasn't released anything. And it's just fanning the flames without showing a single receipt. But that is what it is, in American media today.
The Secretary of Defense and the White House press secretary have said you're lying, have said there are no war plans there, have said there's no classified information. So the obvious question is, shouldn't you now demonstrate it? Shouldn't you publish the text?
No, because they're wrong. They're wrong.
But how can you prove that you're wrong? Maybe should you provide them to the House and Senate Special Committees on Intelligence? Maybe. I don't know.
Wow. Well, you want to become my lawyer?
I'm throwing this out there, Jeff. I don't know. I mean, look.
I feel like no. I mean, I obviously. Let me just put it this way: my colleagues and I, and the advice that and the people who are giving us advice on this have some interesting conversations to have about this.
Yeah.
But just because they're irresponsible with material doesn't mean that I'm going to be irresponsible with this material. And you know what? I could, whatever. I mean, you've had a long history, as I have, with dealing with them. And at moments like this, when they're under pressure because they've been caught with their hand in the cookie jar or whatever, they will just literally say anything to get out of the moment, to get out of the jam. And that's okay. I get it. I get the defensive reaction. And but here's the thing. My obligation, I feel, is to the idea that we take national security information seriously. And maybe maybe in the coming days I'll be able to let you know that, okay, I have a plan to have this material vetted publicly. But I'm not going to say that now because there's a lot of conversations that have to happen about that.
Okay, so I want to rewind. I want to rewind it real quick I want to see if I can catch it. I got it right spot.
No, because they're wrong. They're wrong.
I said there are no war plans there. I've said there's no classified information. So the obvious question is, shouldn't you now demonstrate it? Shouldn't you publish the text?
No, because they're wrong. They're wrong.
But how can you prove that you're wrong? Maybe should you provide them to the House and Senate Special Committees on Intelligence? Maybe. I don't know.
Wow. Well, you want to become my lawyer?
I'm throwing this out.
That right there. You don't have to release it. Publicly. You don't have to, but that right there he could do. If he had the documents, why not give it to some Democrat, in this daggone committee?
Committees on Intelligence, maybe. You're wrong. Maybe should you provide them to the House and Senate Special Committees on Intelligence, maybe?
Yeah. That right there. Why not provide the information to the Intelligence Committee at the House and the Senate if you have it? I'm sure they would love it. I'm sure they would love for you to give that information to them. Why not? That side right there lets you know everything that you need to know. I don't think he actually has it. Because if he did, he would at least do that. At least. Come on, man. When you have something to show us, show it. Don't get on national TV and talk about it. Do it. Seriously. And at minimum, go provide it to the committee there at the House, the Intelligence Committee. They've already had hearings. I mean, the idea that the Trump administration officials, accidentally added Jeffrey Goldberg to this, a prominent left-leaning journalist. I mean, like I said earlier, I don't know if you accidentally do something along those lines. And I would assume if you are a conservative, why would you even have this particular individual's information in your contacts? I mean, and guess I don't know, man. But something smells extremely fishy. It just doesn't sound right. It's not sitting well with me. I mean, when you break it all down, it just doesn't sit well with me for this individual who accidentally did this to have that particular person's contact in their phone. Again, I'm one of those kind of people, when you're playing this game, you have to be on point. You got to be on point. So I personally couldn't give you a pass when you allow something like this to happen. You literally, I don't want to say maybe it's incompetence, maybe it was on purpose, but whatever it is, you just caused a full-fledged national scandal that everybody's talking about right now. That individual would probably have to be let go, in my opinion. That's just me. That's just me. Now with Signal, you got to add people, by phone number through your contacts. So again, it could have been a situation where he uploaded the app on the phone, and it asks you, do you want to add all of your contacts? But even if that is the case, you should know not to do that. You don't want to add all your contacts in that situation. I don't know, man. I mean, unless maybe he mistyped type the number or something like that. I don't know. But people have been using Signal for years within the government. For years. A lot of national security types have been using this application for quite some time. I don't know, man. It smells a little fishy. Yeah, I don't know, man. It just feels like a long shot that this was an accidental leak. Seriously. Tulsi Gabbard and John Ratcliffe both said that, nothing illegal, or classified were shared. So, if he wants to prove them wrong, because right now this is a he say, she say type situation. And if he wants to prove them wrong, he could do so. If you have the document, you could prove it. If you have it. All he'd have to do is reach out to somebody, on one of those intelligence committees at the House. You just need to reach out to one person. You don't need them all, just one person. And you can figure out a way to share said document in a secure manner. He's going to have to show his hand, though. Or it could be a situation where he's getting, some national coverage and he's hoping that this story will die down in a day or two and he can move on with his life. And maybe he'll get a book deal behind this. But if he releases those messages and they're not classified, he's going to lose all credibility. All of it. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't be held accountable if they mess up, but when you do something like this, when you start talking about national security and you start talking about, sensitive information and things of that nature, heads got to roll. This is a different situation. If a staffer screwed up and added Goldberg to a secure chat, somebody has to be fired. Somebody's got to be fired, man. It's fair. And if you are the person that did it, you have to expect that, hey, I'm not going to be working here much longer. We can't have people like, you are a liability, sir or ma'am, whoever it was. You are a liability. We can't have that. But the idea that this was some coordinated, leak of top secret information, come on, man, stop it. And let's also not ignore how the Democrats laid the foundation for this mess. When they let Hillary escape after violating every rule in the book, they told the entire government that accountability didn't matter. And now they want to cry foul because someone, used a secure messaging app. Again, it's not about national security. It's about narrative control. It's about, painting the Trump administration as an administration that's incompetent. It's about attacking Trump and anyone connected to him. This is a distraction. This is a distraction from how bad the Democrat Party is. And what really bugs me is that this nonsense takes attention and resources away from actual threats. It diverts attention from real terrorism, from real leaks, and from real victims who actually deserve justice. Every minute spent chasing a fake scandal is a minute not spent protecting Americans. Bottom line, point blank, period. This story is a media-generated storm that's likely to fizzle out within a day or two, unless Goldberg drops some bombshell proof, which I'm not holding my breath on that. I'm not, because unless he's slow playing this to say, hey, let's give it a couple of days, that could be the case. He might be just one of those, what do they call them? Crude operators. He could be. We're going to play this thing out, slow play it, and then boom, we're going to drop it again so he can maintain his, maintain some of that national shine. This is going to go down one or two ways, man. This is going to go down as either another attempted hit job that fell flat, or this dude is, going to blow up as someone who, exposed, some form of incompetence within the Trump administration. going to go down one or two ways, but my assumption is that he's hoping that this thing just fizzles out and people stop talking about it. Now, in other news, let's shift gears real fast. I want to shift to something that actually matters for the future of our country, and that's election security. If we can't trust our elections, we can't trust our republic. Plain and simple. And President Trump is taking bold action right now. Bold action to make sure our votes are protected. He just doubled down on securing our elections with a new executive order, and he's calling for some common sense reform that conservatives have been demanding for years. Let's take a look at what he had to say about it.
Easy to do it, and we should go to paper ballots. We should go to one-day voting. We should go to voter ID, and just one other thing, proof of a thing called citizenship in the United States. Wouldn't that be nice? How simple does that sound? Proof of citizenship, voter ID, one-day voting, and paper ballots. You know, paper ballots are very secure. They have watermark paper. It's very intricate stuff. It's very technologically advanced, even though it's paper. And you'd have no trouble. You wouldn't have dishonest elections, and you'd have them all done by 10 o'clock in the evening. You know, France went to that, and not that I want to copy anybody, but many others have also, and they had 38 million votes, and it was all done at 10 o'clock. They had a winner, they had a loser, that was it. Nobody was complaining. And they had it backed up with paper, and it's so easy to do. The other thing, you'd save about, this would cost you about 8% of what the machines cost. So the paper would be much less expensive. So if you're looking to save some money, that's a good way to save it. So it's a shame that we've gone through it. We've gone through a bad election, really bad election. The election was so bad. And think of it. You wouldn't have had the October 7th disaster with
Okay, so let's break this down real fast. So what President Trump is talking about and what he's pushing for here is it's a game changer when it comes to election integrity. And honestly, it's about daggone time. The executive order he signed, and he's calling on Congress to back it up with legislation, which I'm hoping that they will do. It demands 4 key things: proof of citizenship to vote, voter ID requirements, one-day voting, and paper ballots. It's simple. Simple ask, simple enough. All of that makes complete sense to me. Complete sense. Proof of citizenship to vote, voter ID requirements, one-day voting, and paper ballots. Seriously. That's it. The executive order amends the federal voter registration form to require document proof of citizenship, like a passport, to even be eligible to vote in federal elections. It also empowers federal agencies to cut funding to states that do not comply. And it directs the Department of Justice to crack down on what the White House calls election crimes. Now, Trump's also pushing Congress to pass the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, or the SAVE Act, which would take this even further by requiring in-person proof of citizenship, effectively ending mail-in and online voter registration in 42 states. That is a big deal because right now, those systems are wide open to abuse. Wide open to abuse. So what would this mean for our elections? What it would mean is this. It means that we're finally putting up real barriers to fraud. And why is this important? Because our elections are the foundation of our republic. And if we can't trust them, if we can't believe in the elections, we've got nothing. We have absolutely nothing in this nation. Trump's been sounding the alarm on voter fraud for years. Fraud by mail-in voting, fraud by non-citizens, even fraud by interstate conspiracies. And the left keeps dismissing it. And not only that, but for some reason, they've for years been dead set on stopping any bill any legislation that tries to make our elections more secure. Here's Arizona Governor Hobbs, excuse me, you know, that from last month, this is a clip from last month I'm about to share with you guys, where she vetoed a bill to speed up election results and combat fraud. Why would a sitting governor veto a bill that would help speed up elections and combat voter fraud? Why is that the case? Why would that be the case, man? Is it because these people benefit from it?
Taking action that would make election results more happen faster, but we're not going to do that in a way that disenfranchises voters, and that's exactly what this bill does.
But Republicans are not likely
to taking action that would make election results more happen faster, but we're not going to do that in a way that disenfranchises voters, and that's exactly what this bill does.
But Republicans are not likely to get the governor's signature. Last week, Hobbs threatened a veto. Besides speeding up election results, the bill also includes stricter requirements to obtain an early ballot.
This should be a no-brainer, man. This should be a no-brainer. I mean, I'd say that this is unbelievable that this lady would block this, but this is their MO. This is their MO. This bill would have guaranteed same-day election results, something Arizona election officials overwhelmingly supported. The citizens in Arizona overwhelmingly support this. So why was it shot down? It was shot down because Hobbs claims that it might disenfranchise voters. Cut it out. Cut it out, man. Disenfranchise voters? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This bill was going to speed up, it was about speeding up the vote count and making the process more transparent, something Arizona desperately needs after becoming a national joke for taking weeks to count votes. Weeks. The longer it takes, the more room there is for fraud, mistrust, and frustration. The longer it takes. But instead of fixing it, Hobbs doubled down on the chaos. And it's not just Arizona. Democrat states across the country have spent years blocking election security measures, always hiding behind the same tired excuse, it's too hard for people to vote. How about we make a holiday, make it a state or whatever days that you vote on, it's a state holiday to get out there and vote. No one goes to work except for essential folks. And even if you are in a situation where you are considered essential personnel, your employer has to give you the ability to go and vote. Simple as that. I mean, it's not rocket science, man. It just isn't. We should have a national voter day. And that day, everybody's off work except for essential personnel. And those people should have some concessions to be able to go and get their vote in first thing in the morning or right at the end, or sometime at lunch, however you can do it. And they should be able to have a pass that maybe they could use because they're essential personnel, and they can skip the line and go in there and get their vote on so they can get back to doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, I'm not a politician, but this is not rocket science. This is not rocket science. I'm sure all of us, we could come together and come up with some type of solution as to how to fix this. Seriously. You don't have to take you shouldn't have to take a PTO day, Quincy. Just, hey, this is state voter day. It's an off day. We don't vote. Everybody is going to vote today. It is an off day. So here's the question. Why can't we have same-day voting and results like so many other countries across the world? Why can't we require voter ID like so many other countries from around the world? Take France, for instance. They have one-day presidential elections. Votes tallied within hours. In 2022, 48.7 million registered voters. They were done by nightfall. Now, these are kooky places, but at least this is one thing that they do have right. You got the UK. They vote on a Thursday. Results by early Friday. Their 2019 general election, they had 47.6 million voters, and the BBC was projecting winners by midnight. What is our excuse? We're supposed to be the greatest country in the world. We can't get this figured out. What's our excuse? It's not about the tech. It's not about the resources. You have more than enough people willing to volunteer to go and be a part of the process. More than enough people. We are hands down one of the most advanced nations on the planet. This should be a no-brainer. But the biggest issue that we have going on in American politics right now and in our government is the issue of bureaucracy. Bureaucracy, the politics of this, and a system designed to drag this thing out. And don't even get me started on voter ID. Trump's executive order and the SAVE Act called for an ID and proof of citizenship. And the left, they're fighting this. They fought both, crying voter suppression. They claim it's too hard for minorities and seniors or low-income Americans to get a daggone ID. These people are ridiculous. There's been videos out there of, some of these liberals out there talking about, minorities, black people don't know how to get an ID. They don't know where the MVA is or the DMV is. They don't know. Do you understand how racist that is? They've literally made everybody get a real ID. If you guys are familiar with that, you can't get on a plane today without a real ID. They made everybody go and get this new ID that can't be, it's not, you're not going to be able to fake it. It can't be, duplicated and all this other kind of stuff. They've literally made everybody go and get a real ID. You literally need an ID to drive, fly, buy alcohol, buy tobacco, pick up a prescription, open a bank account. The list goes on of what you need an ID for. There is a long list of what you need an ID for. All of y'all folks that live in states where they sell marijuana, you gotta have an ID. You want to go to the casino, you gotta show your ID. There is a long list of places that you can go. Yeah, exactly. Even a library card, they want to see your ID. Like, you literally got to show your ID for a plethora of things. But to get a voter registration card, it's too difficult for that. Are you kidding me? You can't open a bank account in this country without a valid ID. Valid ID. You can't go to the pharmacy. Lord knows you're not getting on a plane. Come on, man. Like, what are we talking about, man? They've been trying hard to convince us that Americans are too helpless to get a daggone ID. And even if you can't drive, you can go get just a state ID. And if I'm not mistaken, in most states, it's mandatory to have an ID. Mandatory. You can't be out here walking around without your ID. They think we're stupid, man. They think we're stupid. And this is another executive order that Congress has to take to the House floor and to the state and to the Senate and get this thing passed. Quincy, you're absolutely right. Folks can't get a daggone ID, but a daggone 9-month-old can get a $100,000 small business loan. You can't make this stuff up, man. You cannot make this stuff up, man. It is ridiculous. And speaking of people who think Americans are too dumb for things like getting an ID, let's talk about someone who seems to think that we're too dumb to see through her antics. We got to talk about her. We got to talk about, Representative Jasmine Crash Out Crockett. we got to talk about her, man. We got to. This lady, she had lady, I'm using that term, I guess, loosely at this point. We got to say this woman. This woman had a thing or two to say about the whole signal situation. Let's check her out, see what she had to say. Goodness gracious. I'd say she's the gift that keeps on giving, but she's the you know what? I was going to be somewhat vulgar. I'm not even going to go there. They say if you don't have anything nice to say, you shouldn't say it at all. So, let's not say it. Goodness gracious.
And then y'all want to come at us and act like people of color are the problem or that women are the problem? Like, baby, you probably need a good black woman in the room who can check you and tell you that, first of all, you shouldn't be doing this shit on Signal or anything else. And then
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm about tired of hearing this lady. I really am. This woman right here, I am about tired. Every clip, she is extremely loud and obnoxious, man. Goodness gracious. I'm sorry. I really am. She has to be one of the most loudest, most reckless voices in the Democrat Party. I don't know if there's anybody that's been more loud and reckless than this lady in the history of the Democrat Party. And if you guys know of anybody, put them in the comment section or in the chat. Let me know. Is there anybody in that party more loud and ridiculous than this lady in the Democrat Party? Representative Jasmine Crockett, she is a walking example of exactly why Americans are abandoning the left in record numbers. Walking example. Crockett recently went on an unhinged rant, about a Signal story, using it as a cheap excuse to attack Trump's team, then somehow spun it into a DEI lecture. I mean, this lady even had the nerve to joke that you need a strong black woman. I mean, come on, like, what are we doing? A strong black woman like herself would have prevented this entire thing. Like, oh man, tomorrow we're going to, you know what? I'm not going to talk. We're going to talk about tomorrow. We're going to talk about some of this. We're going to talk about a few of these, quote unquote, strong black women in positions of power and leadership, within the Democrat Party. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But, this particular individual, man, you know what? I forgot about Maxine Waters. Yeah, she's pretty loud and pretty daggone obnoxious as well. She is. I guess Jasmine Crockett is trying to take her place, I guess. But she acts like, her presence alone would fix a tech glitch or something. Seriously. But Crockett isn't the only one. She isn't just loud. She isn't. She's extremely dangerous. She's known for, just silly inflammatory rhetoric, once urging people, to punch hard politically. And after calling for someone to deal with Elon Musk for, following these daggone Tesla protests, explosive devices were conveniently found, in Texas just days later. I mean, I don't know if it was a coincidence, but I mean, these people, their rhetoric is just reckless. Reckless. Maybe, but words do have consequences. They do. The word says life and death is in the power of the tongue. Words have consequences. And she just keeps weaponizing hers. And it gets worse. She publicly mocked disabled Texas Governor Greg Abbott, calling this man governor, Hot Wheels, and a hot mess. I mean, this lady has no shame. None. She has no shame. I mean, this is the new face of the Democrat Party, man. Angry, divisive, and totally unhinged. Totally unhinged. This is the new face of the Democrat Party, man. It is, I just, for the life of me, I don't get it, man. I don't understand why people choose to support these people. I just don't.
Because we in these hot ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So yes.
Yeah. It seems like on a day-to-day basis, man, they stoop to new lows. Stoop to new lows on a day-to-day basis. In front of a human rights campaign. These things, man, they write themselves. They write themselves. Shout out to True Texan with the $2 super chat. Give me a second. Hold up. He says AOC ranks right up there with the big mouth. I'm gonna leave that up there for a little bit. Yes, she does. There's a few of them out there. Goodness gracious, man. The Democrat Party, man. They have no shame, man. They have no shame. Let's run that back. They have no shame, and she actually thinks she up there cooking. She thinks she's cooking.
Because we in these hot ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So yes.
Christopher Cunningham, you're right. I gotta show that one some love. She playing the hood rat role to a T. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. She is playing the hood rat role to a T. The sisterhood got to take some L's for this one. Seriously. Got to take some L's for this one. Should be ashamed. I need to see more people calling this lady out. More women calling this woman out. Seriously. She did all of that at a human rights campaign. You are literally at a human rights campaign talking about disabled people. I mean, these things really write themselves, man. Seriously. Real mature, very classy, very classy. That's the voice of the Democrat Party in 2025, guys. Just some classy individuals. But here's what should terrify Democrats. Americans are catching on. We are catching on, slowly but surely. The beautiful thing is that there was a time that when you didn't have X, you didn't have YouTube, you didn't have TikTok, you didn't have these independent platforms like mine and so many others out there that can share this information with the masses. There was a time that you could get out there and you could say something like that, and only the people in the room heard it. And maybe somebody would go out and say, man, y'all should have been in there. She said this, and this. And then they could come out. She would be able to come out and say, oh, I didn't say that. They just said, they just taking it out of context. Now we get to see everything. And to an extent, you know, like when I was talking to Sheldon the other day, sometimes I think we get to see too much. Seriously. Sometimes I think we get to see too much, but to an extent, it's probably a good thing, though. Shout out to True Texan for the $2 super chat. He says, let's not forget Pocahontas. You know, a dandy she is. Oh, man. Hey, Mark 810. I do not remember Maxine Waters during the 92 LA riots. I don't remember that. I think I went during that time from 1992. I guess I was in middle school, and I remember the riots, but I wasn't paying that much attention to what's going on. I wasn't paying. I ain't gonna say that much. I wasn't paying attention at all to these politicians at that time. Quincy James says, "Wise authenticity is the currency of the future." I appreciate that, man, and I think that's the difference in this day and age is that, you know, information can just be information just flies across the world so fast. It travels so fast, which I think is a gift and a curse. It is. I think it's a gift and a curse. But Americans are definitely catching on, though. Definitely catching on.
Welcome inside Politics Sunday. I'm Manu Raju. First up this morning, a brand new exclusive CNN poll that paints a brutal reality for Democrats as they struggle to mount a unified opposition to President Trump. Americans' favorable views of the Democratic Party's brand are at a record low, just 29%. That's compared to 36% for Republicans. It is the lowest ever recorded for Democrats in CNN polling going back more than 30 years. As you can see, the party's numbers dropping a staggering 20 points in just 4 years. The CNN SRSR's poll also found 57% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters are more interested in seeing their party leaders stop the GOP agenda, compared to 42% who are more interested in cutting bipartisan deals. It is a big shift from where the party stood at the start of Trump's first term in 2017. Now, this survey was taken before this week's tumultuous battle over funding the government, which resulted in one of the ugliest intra-party Democratic disputes in years, and left many in the party lobbing furious attacks at Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, who ultimately reversed course and let a GOP bill funding the government become law in order to avert a shutdown. Now a bitter round of finger-pointing is taking shape after Democrats failed to get a single concession from the GOP, despite having their first piece of leverage to fight back against Trump. Now the big question, where does a party in deepening turmoil and in open warfare go from here?
Okay, so that's directly from CNN. Directly from CNN. Now, I'm with a lot of you guys. I'm watching the chat. I'm with a lot of you. Who are these people that are a part of the 29%? But y'all know who it is. It's the full-fledged, super far left woke progressives, and I would assume that there's that's who it is. That's who it is. It's the super radical far left progressives. That's who is a part of that 29%. Yeah. The Democrat Party's favorability, is at 29% right now, and it's the lowest recorded in CNN's polling dating back more than 30 years. Dating back more than 30 years. That's something else, man. Let's check over at MSNBC, or MSDNC, as we so affectionately call them, and see what they have to say about this.
An all-time low. Let's start with the new polling that shows the Democratic Party has reached an all-time low in popularity. The latest NBC News national poll finds that a majority of registered voters, 55%, have a negative view of the party, while 27%, just over a quarter of registered voters, have a positive view of the party. That's the party's lowest rating in NBC News polling dating back to 1990. Meanwhile, though, a new CNN SSRS poll.
Wow. Dating back to 1990. 55% of voters have a negative view of the party, and 18% are just neutral. And that's according to NBC polling. I would assume that those numbers are even worse than what they're reporting. That'd be my assumption. Even with the nonstop negative media coverage and rigged polling, Trump's approval rating is trending upward, while the Democrat Party's is falling off a cliff. And according to CNN's own data, Trump is more popular now than he was when he won in 2016. Promises made, promises kept. People see a man that campaigned on, a plethora of issues, and they see him get in there and working. He is working for the American people. And honestly, I think there are a lot of Americans out there that are in awe. They cannot believe that, hey, there is a politician that ran on things and he's actually doing it or attempting to do the things that he ran on. A lot of people are like, whoa, hold up. Really? More Americans believe that the country is on the right track under President Trump. More Americans believe that their country is headed in the right direction under President Trump, more than they ever did under the Biden-Harris administration. And in fact, the percentage of Americans who say that we're headed in the right direction is the highest in about 2 decades. In about 2 decades. This is according to CNN. 2 decades. Come on now. People see it.
Let's take a look at the percentage of the country who say that we're on the right track. It's actually a very high percentage when you compare it to some historical numbers. What are we talking about? According to Marist, 45% say that we're on the right track. That's the second highest that Marist has measured since 2009. How about NBC News? 44%. That's the highest since 2004. Wow. The bottom line is the percentage of Americans who say we're on the right track is through the roof. And if you were to compare it to when presidents have historically been reelected, of course, Trump is not constitutionally eligible to run for re-election, but I think it sort of puts it in perspective. 42% of the country says the country is on the right track when the incumbent party is re-elected. And also keep in mind, back when Kamala Harris lost and the Democrats were turned out of power, only about 27 to 28% of the country said the country was on the right track. The bottom line is right now, a much higher percentage of the country says we're on the right track. Let's take a look at the percentage of the country who say that.
The look on that lady's face, priceless. Priceless. She did not look happy. Hey, she did not look happy. But they can't deny it. They can't deny it. And it's driving the left insane. These elitist people that live in these echo chambers, that hang around all these, bourgeoisie people, they cannot believe that the regular Americans are looking at this and saying, we finally got a guy in there that's standing on business, doing what he said he was going to do. We finally got a guy who campaigned on issues that the American people care about, and he's doing what he says he is going to do. And it is driving the left insane. I mean, they've thrown everything. They've thrown everything at President Trump for nearly a decade. The Russia hoax, the impeachment, endless lawsuits, now these so-called, leaked signal texts, and none of it sticks. So now they're parading the AOCs, the Ilhan Omars, and the Jasmine Crockett's around, thinking that this will somehow save them. And in all actuality, it's making it worse. Think about this, man. Young men in this country are leaning conservative. There are full-fledged pages out there of young men who are looking for conservative women, Christian conservative women, and they're opting for other nations because the women in this country are insufferable in some cases, these liberal women. But yet the Democrat Party thinks that super feminist AOC, super ghetto Jasmine Crockett, Ilhan Omar, who cares more about what country is she from, Somalia or whatever other African nation that she's from, that cares more about them than the actual American people. When you have, Representative, what's her name? What's her name from Boston or Massachusetts up there, Ayanna, whatever, I can't think of her name. When you got her saying that, hey, she's looking to she's looking to censor the American people, they think that these are the people that are going to turn things around. Are you kidding? The rhetoric that they're pushing, that Democrats have been pushing, it's actually hasn't been good for women in this country when you think about it. And if young women in this country continue to fall for the lies of the Democrat Party, there was a study that I read a while back that said by 2030, 60% of young women will be single and childless. 60% over the age of 30. 60%. We're talking about an epidemic. You have young men that are opting out of relationships with these women. Opting out, saying, nah, they're dipping. There was already a study where they were saying that, hey, young men are moving away from the Democrat Party. I mean, man. They literally think that an AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Ilhan Omar, they really think that those women can save the nation. Real men, heterosexual men, Christian men, men who follow Christ. There you go. Ayanna Presley had a brain fart. Thank you. They are leaving this party in droves. There is no place for any of us in that party with our belief system. What up, T.A. Caskey? So I don't know, for the life of me, I don't know why they think that, these women can save them. For the life of me, I don't know why. They really think that that group of insufferable women can save them. I mean, they're literally admitting on camera that they don't have a single legislative agenda, to show you, to share with you. They have no solutions to solve anything. None. They have no agenda. They have no intent on putting forth anything to help the American people. Nothing. They're bold enough to tell you out of their own mouths that, hey, we're not putting together anything for y'all. We have zero interest in it.
This session, some of your goals, is there anything you're trying to pass? How much of it is going on offense? How much of it is going on defense, trying to stop the Republicans?
Trying to pass, no. I should probably be a better politician and tell you, yes, we've got all this amazing legislation that I can absolutely imagine Donald Trump signing into law, and I'm just not gonna lie. I think that right now it is about preserving our basics and getting back some of the norms that make sure that people have food on the table, the norms that make sure that people aren't going through any extra layer of stress when it comes to figuring out education for their kids. So right now, I can tell you that unfortunately, I am not working towards very much that I would consider being the progress train. I am working to make sure that I can minimize the regress train right now. And I think, and I hope that my district appreciates that I am being honest with them.
Let's go back through
first
that.
about this session, some of your goals. Is there anything you're trying to pass? How much of it is going on offense? How much of it is going on defense, trying to stop the Republicans?
Trying to pass, no.
Now think about this. She didn't pass a bill while she was in the state legislation down there in Texas. Not a bill. And she doesn't have any interest in doing it now. So this is literally an individual who is doing nothing in Congress right now. Nothing other than acting a plumb fool.
Some of your goals. Is there anything you're trying to pass? How much of it is going on offense? How much of it is going on defense, trying to stop the Republicans?
Trying to pass, no. I should probably be a better politician and tell you, yes, we've got all this amazing legislation that I can absolutely imagine Donald Trump signing into law, and I'm just.
So what she's saying is that when she says I should probably be a better politician, what she's saying is that I should probably lie to you guys. That's what she's saying. Oh yeah, she's no different than Summer Lee. She's no different. Seriously. That's what she's saying. I should lie to y'all and tell you we got all this amazing, policies and things of that nature, but no, they're not working. They're not working. Oh man. So you're not there to pass bills. You're not there to try to solve any issues, any problems. They have no solutions, none. And if that is the case, why are you there? If that is the case, if you have zero solutions, you're not working with anybody on your side of the aisle or across to get any bill passed that can help solve anything for the American people or any issue for the American people. Why are you there? What are you there for? Is her only job to go out there and grandstand on NBC and MSDNC and make viral clips on TikTok and all of that? Is that it? Is that what she's there? Is that her only purpose? Seriously. I mean, here's the bottom line, man. The Democrats are imploding. They're leaderless. They're out of touch. They're being exposed every single day. They're being exposed. This has become the party of pure performance at this point. Pure performance. That's it. A coalition of bitter losers, obsessed with Trump, obsessed with identity politics, obsessed with tearing this country apart. They don't lead, man. They don't lead. They just scream. They don't serve. They self-promote. And Jasmine Crockett is a perfect symbol of all of that. So yeah, keep marching. Keep on marching Jasmine Crockett out. Keep on marching AOC out, the squad, all of these people. They literally had another lady about 2 weeks ago say that, hey, our job here is to lie. What did she say? Our job is here to lie. Lie about President Trump. I mean, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. Let them keep showing the American people who the Democrat Party is and what they've become. Because the more that they talk, the more I think the people will continue walking out, man. And I'm a firm believer that if you let a person talk long enough, they will show you who they are. If you let these people continue to blab and blabber, they will show you exactly who they are. And that's what they've been doing. And that's why you have a lot of people that have decided to defect from this evil institution known as the Democrat Party. They don't want strong men in that party. They don't want Christians in that party. They don't. Let me bring my guy Grasso in for a second. What's up, brother? How you doing today, man?
Good, but how are you, sir?
I can't complain, man. Blessed as always. Blessed as always.
Good.
I don't know if you heard, man. Yesterday we had a great show, man. We were able to raise, $500, a little less than $500, in the chat to donate to Sheldon Daniels, the brother that came on the show the other day.
No, that's incredible.
I matched it dollar for dollar, so we were able to, donate, a little over $1,000, well, actually $8,000 to Sheldon's, and then we also picked up the tab for the, processing fee and all that, which is phenomenal, man. These people in the chat, man, they showed up and showed out, man.
Absolutely.
It was awesome.
Praise the Lord
awesome,
to
man.
that. That's incredible.
Oh yeah.
Because money's tight. I know, believe me, money's tight.
Yeah.
Has been for the past few years. And not all because of that woman that you were just talking about. She's a big reason why.
What are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts on that? First off, before you go there and just talking about her, but what are your thoughts on the Democrat Party's disconnect with young men, young heterosexual men, and I would say, I guess those of us, I guess we'd be considered middle-aged men in this country. What are your thoughts on their disconnect there?
Well, I mean, it's because they want to play daddy. They want to be the male role. They want to be the male figure in the family units across this country. They don't want strong men because strong men tell them to go, tell them where to stick it and where to go. Mm-hmm. So you have to eliminate strong men. I mean, that's been happening since the 60s. It's all been a Democratic plan since then.
Yeah.
And then Miss Crockett, I mean, she sat on the Committee of Agriculture and the Committee of Oversight and Accountability. Just think about that. Oversight and accountability. Her main job was to make sure that she that government wasn't fraudulent and wasn't spending your tax dollars on things that didn't make any sense. And look what Doge has found in the last 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously she didn't do her job. You know, she's just another one of those people that go in there broke and she'll come out a multimillionaire.
She's definitely a
gaff.
multimillionaire.
Yeah, it's all gaff. It's all just go in, come out filthy rich, and all on the backs of each and every one of us. That's the whole Democratic plan. And that, again, to circle back to your original question, was that's the reason why if you want to control a society, you have to control its men. You have to demonize them. You have to chastise them. You have to feminize them. And then that way they become weak, and the government then steps in and controls everything. I mean, it's the same demonic principality that's been doing it since the beginning. You know, its name was Ishtar, then it became Ashtoreth. You've heard of the name Shiva. It's the same demon that controls this thing, and what it was is that demon always used to take the image of a female, and everybody who was around her, like her concubines and stuff, were all men that were eunuchs. Basically, they castrated themselves. They're transgender. It's all about demasculinization. It's taking the men, making them women, making them weak. So then that way, she or it, I guess it's it, can control the world through persuasion. And so that's why you've seen a systemic programming all through our social media, all through our television, all through the programmings we've seen, especially when we were growing up. You know, where every show that you saw was up from Andy Griffin was pretty much the last show where you seen a strong male figure ahead of a household. You know, he used to talk the Bible. He used to correct his child when he would do wrong. You know, Ronnie Howard, Opie. But then you fast forward that just 10, 15 years from there, to Married with Children was the first one that I can remember, where the husband was a dope. He was lazy. He was an idiot. You know, the mother was the strong one, the one that ran the household. The kids pretty much walked all over him, no respect at all. And he was just, you know, it was just, and that's been every show since then.
Well, I'm gonna push back just a little bit, but I do agree with you that was the case. But in the early 90s, there was some late 80s, early 90s, because you had the Huxtables and you had Family Matters, and there was a few of those shows where you had those men were strong. You look at Family Matters, who ran that household? You have to go. Yeah, it was Harriet. Harriet ran that household. Yeah, like every time she gave a look, he cowered and stuck his tail between his legs and ran off. And then the hierarchy was you're right. It was mama, grandmama, and then golly, dude. You know what's crazy about that? And my wife can attest to this. I bought the Martin series, the whole DVD collection of the full season of all the Martins, right? I used to like watching Martin back in the day. Man, I put the first episode on. I'm sitting there watching like, oh man, we're gonna enjoy Martin. I had to cut it off. I was like, this dude is so weak and so beta. I was like, I can't stomach this. Now, back in the day, I didn't really understand what I was watching. I was a young man, and maybe it was just comedy. But oh my goodness, man, I was like, I can't watch this. This is ridiculous. Yep. So I still own it. I didn't give it away or anything, but I have not watched another bit of that daggone show, man. I just couldn't. Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean but that was it's all on purpose. It's all by design. Yeah, it's by design. Yeah, it's all by design, unfortunately. And people don't realize, like, the whole Democratic Party is against Jesus. It has nothing to do with you or me. It's all about Christianity. It's all about destroying the religion that built this country. It's a pure attack on it.
because everything that Christianity holds dear, they're the exact opposite. Even if they have to bite their nose off to spite their face, they're against it.
And there's I mean, and I do agree with you. You'd have to go back into the 60s, 70s. I mean, good times. You had strong, with James, that was strong, from there. But you're right. Even George Jefferson and the Archie Bunkers of the world. And although Archie Bunker kind of started to fizzle.
Yeah.
As the show progressed, he got weaker and weaker as the show progressed because they just kept chipping at him and they just kept breaking him down.
Yep.
But you're right, man. I mean, yeah, completely by design. And but I will say this. Although, yes, the media, what they've kind of tried to push in social media, they've tried to, push this, but there is an awakening that is happening in this nation.
And I think it's this newer generation, the ones that are just turning 20, 21. Like they see this nonsense and they're like, I'm not about that nonsense.
So you're starting to see it, and I really appreciate it. You have more, like even watching, football, and that's really the only sports that I really watch is when football season rolls around. I watch football, both the pros and the college. Heck, I'll go to a high school game just for the purity of the game and go watch some young boys go out there and compete.
Absolutely.
But seeing those guys, profess their love for Jesus in these press conferences. You remember maybe a year or two ago, they used to, when somebody would say that, they'd cut away from it. And now they're not doing that, maybe because there's been some pushback or maybe there's been some people that said, hey, if you're going to cut away, I'm not going to do this interview. So they don't have a choice. But you're starting to see that more and more. And I think there is definitely a spiritual awakening happening in this nation. And I think there's not only a need, but a full-fledged demand for strong male content out there, which is the reason why, that red pill movement blew up the way it did, online and on social media, so forth and so on, because I mean, there's a full-fledged lack of any type of masculinity out there. I don't know if you probably don't watch it, but Sylvester Stallone has a show that's been out. It's probably been out maybe 2 seasons now, called The Tulsa King. And if you're into like Sopranos and stuff like that, it's kind of along those lines or whatever. But the character that he plays is probably one of the most masculine characters that I've seen on like mainstream network TV in quite some time.
I'll have to watch it.
It's a good show.
What's it on?
It's a good show. It's on Paramount.
Okay.
I think it's on
I'll
Paramount.
definitely take a look at it. I like Sly anyway.
It's a good show. I like him too. And like in one of the first 2 episodes, he's talking about, and I remember him getting some pushback on this about a year or so ago, but he was talking, he was like, man, what's up with all these pronouns and all this type of stuff? And this is like written in the script in the show. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna like this.
That's because he's old school.
It's in season 1. It's either the first or the second episode where he's talking about, what's going on with men and things of that nature, but he's talking about it in the show. And there was a little bit of pushback from it, but in my opinion, I was like, man, this is a good show. I enjoyed that. So there's we need more of it, but there's also an opportunity for maybe some independent platforms and things of that nature to, piece together and put together some content like this that people need to see. I mean, there's a lack of just strong nuclear family content, just showing a strong family. There's a lack of that out there.
Well, it's because who runs Hollywood? I mean, look at that disaster that just come out this weekend that they tried to pass as Snow White.
Oh, I didn't look at it.
Well, it was, put it this way. I think you made more money last week than that movie did. And it cost them $300 million to make it.
Oh my goodness. I've heard about it, but I wouldn't dare.
It was Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, she's the one who runs Disney Studios. Flaming liberal. But the liberals have ran Hollywood for, since God, I don't even know. I don't even want to
it's been long.
Speculate. It's been forever.
Probably since its inception.
Pushing that propaganda. It's just a propaganda machine, But like you said, definitely the light is at the end of the tunnel because this new generation's waking up to it.
And
And
well, I also think our generation, you know what I'm saying? Because I think it's a lot of us that's our age that are pushing back as well. Like, wait, nah, because I mean, I have two young men, you know, that I raised, and I've been having these types of conversations with them for a long time, and letting them know what those expectations are of a man, you know, and of what it is to be a husband and eventually a father. You are going to be the head and the leader. They're going to be the same way that you guys look to me to solve your problems. You're going to have your own family looking to you to solve those problems. And I want to make sure that I give you the proper instruction on how to do that. And eventually you're going to have to step out there and do it.
yeah, and it's not going to be easy.
No, it's
But
not
you
going to
also
be
have
easy, but
you
it's
have
not
a
supposed to
nuclear
be.
family. No, it's not supposed
Exactly.
to be easy. But unfortunately, we're kind of we're the minority. Wise, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we
Like, I
may
mean,
be.
how many guys are how many boys are growing up without a father figure at all in their household?
Yeah, a lot. And that's across all
Yeah, I mean,
races and
it
it's
doesn't
across.
matter. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, all races. I mean, the divorce rate's well over 50%. And unfortunately, the higher the educated the females get, the higher the divorce rate.
Yeah, the
That's
higher the
just
divorce rate.
but that's just because they're hierarchical by nature. I mean, as they should be for preservation of a species. They should always try to pick the cream of the crop. I mean, it's kind of like when we go back to all of these programmings with all these men. It's our fault. It's the men's fault, and I'll continue to blame men. We have allowed this to happen. We've allowed.
Oh,
this
it's
to happen.
definitely us.
We've been.
Well, it's definitely us. You know, weak men create hard times.
Yeah, and hard times create
Strong
men.
So we've had it so good in this country.
Oh yeah.
We've had it so good in this country, and a lot of us, not all, but a large amount of us have forgot what it means, you know, to be a protector, provider, someone, you know, the strength, the patriarch, you know, in our families. And then unfortunately, you have a group of women that, especially those that go to college, and they get indoctrinated with the patriarchy is a bad thing, when in every society where you have a strong, you know, patriarchal hierarchy, those are some of the most successful, most well-protected societies in the world. And stable, exactly. And stable societies in the world. Not to mention this, is, you know, when you look at the, everybody always talk about the money and look at households, the financials of the households.
Yeah.
The highest earning households in the nation are married people.
Always. They'll always be.
Even when the husband is working and the wife doesn't, those are still the highest earning households in the nation.
And the highest success rate for their children.
Exactly. And you're absolutely right. They produce the most productive people in the country. Why is that not being promoted?
Because when you are self-sufficient, you don't need Santa Claus, i.e. the government. They have to be able to, Deshaun, they have to be able to create problems that only they can fix. Because then that way they can continue to increase their budgets, which gives them a reason to tax you more. So the more money they can tax, the more budgets they can have, the more people they can employ, the more people they can control, the more narrative they can push.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it would borderline eradicate. Yeah. It would borderline eradicate poverty to create and incentivize to create nuclear families. You realize less than 4% of nuclear families fall under the poverty line?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, so we know this. We know it works.
So then what is the honest explanation for it? Or is there one?
The honest explanation is that what you just described from a liberal standpoint, what do they want? They want the government to have full control over the masses. And the easiest way to do that is to put you in a position where you have to look to them and you have to depend on them for your sustenance.
Well, it's because
they want you to look at them as God, as opposed to putting your faith in God. They want you to see them, the Democrat Party, as your God that's here to save you.
Yeah, their ideology is heavily reliant on experts, the expert class, the ones that are highly educated in their facilities and in their indoctrination camps we call universities. And then they don't want you to question them. They don't want you to question their experts. Then that way they have an agenda. They push it. The experts say that's what the agenda is and that's truth. And then you're just supposed to go along with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their ideology. And they feel like because they are experts and because they are smarter than you and I, they can somehow create this utopia for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if only you give them your money, your time, and your complete obedience, and they will make the world a utopia for you. I don't think a lot of these guys wake up in the morning and go, how can I destroy the country today? I truly think they wake up and they're like, we're trying to make this place a better place. If only you would listen to me and do as I say. If you just do exactly what I say and exactly what I do, because my plan is right and my plan is perfect because I am a expert. And if everybody just did what I said, think about just listen to the narcissism in that thought process.
Yeah, I know.
But that is their process.
I would like to see, and I don't know if President Trump can do it, or if the House and the Senate. I'd like to see them put a bill forth to incentivize marriage in this country. I don't know if if we got to have greater tax breaks.
No income tax,
something along those lines for married couples. We need to incentivize that, and we need to incentivize families coming back together in that way.
Yep.
We need to get rid of the no fault divorce.
No death tax. Yeah, no fault divorce has to be eliminated.
None of that probate stuff. None of that.
None of it.
You get whatever you are able to accumulate, you can pass that down to your children and so forth and so on. But we need to get back to more nuclear families. We need to get it. And
it can be
incentivized. I'd like to see them incentivize it. I'd like to see them do it. I really would. We need it.
And here's the thing is this administration, if you look at it, all the heads of cabinet are Democrats. Elon Musk is a Democrat. I mean, we call them Republicans, but they're just Republicans by other name because let's face it, the center, where you had a little bit, you had a little bit of Democrats and a little bit of Republicans on the left and right. The leftists went so far to the left.
Yeah, that they've
left
pushed
them behind.
the moderates. Yeah, they've pushed the moderates to the other side of things.
But if you look at our whole administration right now, we're all Democrats.
Yeah, large majority
because
of them.
The true rhinos and the true Republicans can't even get together and form a simple sentence together.
No,
because they're all just as bad as the left. People don't realize the far left and the far right, it's a circle. Eventually you end up on the same together. So far left communists, far right fascists are exactly the same. It's you and I. It's 98.5% of the population that's center left, center right. Some things you go conservative on, some things you go liberal on. That's like me. I've been an independent voter, but I vote. Of course, you guys know my policy. I am far more conservative, but I still feel up until the age of 18, every child's health care should be covered by America. Children should be taken care of in this country. There should be no reason why 6 and 7 year olds don't have health care.
Yeah, but if you incentivize, if you incentivize people to do it the right way and get married.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm saying, I mean, what we have right now, those that are here right now, I could probably get behind taking care of, our children and our senior citizens. And I actually am behind that, and are disabled. I'm behind that. But if we could figure a way to incentivize people to get married, incentivize people to have children within
Absolutely.
those confines of marriage, we would, what you just described, we would eliminate a lot of that. And you get to a point to where you can say, you know what? There's no child support for illegitimate children. You want to be out here, you know what I'm saying, and doing what you're doing? No, there's no child support for that.
Yeah,
You get no child support.
Yeah, you can't
Now,
reward
if you
bad
are,
behavior.
no, and that's what we do. We reward bad behavior, which incentivizes people to continue to act badly. So if you got rid of and said, you know what,
I agree.
There's no more. There's no more child support. You think women would continue to go out there and do these things?
No. And
No.
there's no more welfare. There's no more like.
And then
you're
you
on
turn
your own.
around and then, people will say, well, what about the people, who are, assaulted or, an incestual
you
situation?
have those.
Okay. I got to solve for that too. Now we make the punishment so great that if you do it, you're never going to see the light of day. I think a death penalty should be attached to that.
Well, and
You know what I'm
in
saying?
the same
So-
way with adultery. If the man runs out on his wife and his children, guess what? You're taking care of them
responsible.
for the rest of their life.
Yeah, exactly.
Plain, period, and simple.
Exactly.
There's no ands,
so
ifs, or buts
there
about
are some solves there. You know what I'm saying? There is no you to get out of this. Once you make that commitment and you decide to do this, that is your responsibility, sir.
Yeah,
That's
and the
your
punishment-
responsibility.
The punishment has to be harsh enough to where you're second guessing. Like, nah.
Yeah, it ain't that bad.
Nah.
But then, it would also force you to, when you get into this, you're not just going to get into it all willy nilly. You know what I'm saying? Like the first chick you meet and make you feel good, you're like, oh yeah, no, because at that point you make marriage a very serious decision, which is what it's supposed to be.
And it is a very serious decision.
Exactly.
And it's probably the most serious decision you'll ever make in your life.
I won't say probably. Well, I'll say it's the second. The first is making a decision to follow our Lord and
to honor
Savior
God.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly. That's your
number
most
one.
important. And then
That's number
number
one.
2 is marriage.
Number 2, yes.
Is marriage. I mean, because let's face it, sexual sin is the most talked about sin in the entire Bible, and it's a total depravity.
Absolutely.
Because it's because you are hurting the inside, this temple that the Holy Spirit resides in. It's not just outside; it's inside. You're killing, and I mean, and defiling. I mean, just think about that. Like in a perfect world, of course, but if we were to just make marriage like we were just talking about, I mean, a lot of the problems of this nation would go away. You're absolutely
It would go
correct.
away.
It would go
away. We would solve a lot of the issues that we have in this nation right now.
Yeah,
it would. And
It
you
would.
make the punishments. When people say, well, what about the men that's, DV and things of that nature? Okay. Hey, we make the punishment for those types of things extremely harsh. So you're going to think twice before you do something along those lines. So that's the problem. It's so willy-nilly and it's so lax.
You have a country like that right now. It's Dubai. I mean, Dubai is a lot like that. Unfortunately, it is a Muslim country. It's not a Christian-born country. So there is the lack of respect for women at all, pretty much. But for those types of punishments and stuff like, I mean, of course, Dubai is not perfect. But as far as you look at it from a safety standpoint and from like everything we're talking about with marriage and that kind of stuff, it is what it is. I mean, it's Singapore, I think, is close to it as well. I mean, you have them, but unfortunately, what these two countries also have are they don't have a melting pot of cultures.
Yeah,
It's very
true.
hard,
Yeah.
and they're very limited populations. I mean, it's like people always want to talk about the Scandinavian countries about how their governments are so great. Yeah, well, there's average about 5 or 6 million people. The average size of Philadelphia,
they're the size of a city, a large city in our country or state.
and they're all the same color. They're all the same culture.
Yeah.
They're all the same families.
Yeah.
They're all the same bloodlines. I mean, but not anymore, because you look at it, the melting pot they've had where these people, they have just integrated these illegals. Well, they're not illegal over there, but they've integrated these people from other countries, and these countries are collapsing. I mean, you
Yeah,
look at
they
Britain, you look at Denmark, you look at Finland, you look at France, I mean, name all of them. They've all
Yeah.
brought these immigrant policies in, and now their countries are burning to the ground because you
Yeah.
can't, because they're not making them assimilate. See, and
Mhm.
they're bringing them in, and then they're saying, "Oh, well, diversity is our strength." No, that's never been the way it works. United we stand, divided we fall. I mean, that's the way it works. You have to assimilate. If you're coming into a culture, you need to come into their culture. You can't
Mhm.
just come into a new country and say, "Oh, well, I'm not going to follow your rules. I'm going to follow my rules." But see, unfortunately, Sharia law is law in the Muslim world.
Mhm.
And so they're not going to follow any other law because the
No.
punishment for
They
not
don't
following their
assimilate.
law is death.
Yeah, they don't
they don't
assimilate.
assimilate.
Mm-mm.
Or see,
Well, I don't know if you heard. I don't know if you heard, but out in Texas, they're trying to build a city called Epic City out just north of Dallas. They bought 400
Yes.
some odd acres or something. You heard about that? And
yes,
they want to
all
build a city,
Sharia
a
law.
mosque, and yep, all Sharia law. I'm like, that can't happen in our nation. So I mean,
I would hope.
man.
I would hope. I mean, let's face it. I hate to say it, but you can go up to Michigan right now, and there's some Muslim
Yeah,
communities where
yeah,
pretty much Sharia law is law, and the governor just looks the other way. Mayor just looks
yeah.
the other
They turn a
way.
blind way. They turn a blind eye to it. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean,
Man, it's
Ilhan
crazy.
Omar is the senator for that place, and no one says anything about it. But the atrocities that are going on, but you
Yeah,
don't
no,
hear about
Ilhan
it.
is she's Minnesota. They
I'm
have a
sorry,
pretty
Minnesota.
decent population up there in Minnesota as well. But yeah, you're right. You're right. Man, that's crazy.
I mean, it's
Mm-mm-mm.
already here. I mean, it's already here. You don't import millions and millions of people like we've done in the last 4 years into this country.
And think
And
some type of change won't happen. Yeah.
I mean, it was all a plan to get them here, get them citizens so they can vote, and then they'll have
Yeah.
the Democrat vote for.
Well, they don't even have to vote. Think about this. Just get them here. That means that when the census comes around in 2030, that's extra representative seats. That's you know what
That's
I'm
exactly
saying?
right.
So now
And
if
then
they
you
could
can
fast track them to some form of citizenship where they could vote. But up in New York, remember, it got blocked. I don't know if you saw it, but it got blocked. But they were trying to say, hey, they here, we just gonna go ahead and let them vote, at least in the city and state elections.
And the
It
thing
got
is,
blocked,
they don't even have
thankfully.
to, because there's no checks and balances. Your social security number, Deshaun, is not connected to your name.
No, it's just a
If
name.
you really
It's just a
take a
number.
deep dive, and so what happens? I'll tell you exactly the scheme I've seen in Philadelphia, where all the homeless shelters, they round these people up that come into the homeless shelters. They get their name, their social security number, and all that stuff. The homeless shelter does.
Don't
And
tell
then
me
you
they're
got
selling these things.
then what they do is then they take them and take them straight to the Democratic committee in the city. And then you have people that are voting on these social security numbers multiple times. I'm talking hundreds, even thousands of people voting with the same social security number that are homeless that don't vote to begin with. So they take the social security number of the homeless man who they knew who's not going to vote. They give it to the DNC. Then they turn around and have 1,000 ballots made up on that social security number, and they vote with that social security number. So when you look at it in the computer, it all looks legit.
Wow.
But that's what they do. They
That's
round them
crazy.
up in the homeless shelters and then the drug rehab facilities in the inner cities. That's how they get a hold of these social security numbers. Like I said, and because there's no checks and balances, there's no ID with vote.
Yeah.
They can have some of them have up to 10,000 votes on the same social security number.
That is insane.
And until you
Yeah,
lock
well,
these
hopefully,
people up, it's not going to change.
Yeah, you're right. But hopefully the House, Trump's new executive order, hopefully, the House will be able to draft a single bill to be able to send that up through the House and through the Senate to get it voted, to force it.
Look, and it's not hard. It's not hard to do. Voter ID, all the machines are hooked to blockchain. So as soon as your name and your social security number goes into the voting booth, no one can use it again because it's on the blockchain. So anytime another one comes in, it just rejects it. And it's a ledger. So if you hook all your
Yeah.
voting machines to blockchain, and then everyone has to have an ID. It solves the problem.
It solves the problem. Yeah. I didn't even
It's
think about
not
the
a hard
blockchain.
fix.
I didn't think about the blockchain, but you're right in reference to blockchain. I know they were talking about just doing paper ballots and things of that nature, but
even then,
I
you
think
can
I like
print
the
them. Like I said, you
blockchain.
can print 10,000 ballots if there's
Yeah.
no way for you to
but if you
have
can
a
put the
encrypted
technology
ledger.
in there, if you can put the tech in there to watermark it, it has a unique identifying number on it, so forth and so on. And when they're
And the
printed,
blockchain is there, so you
and then
can't
you can
touch
use
it.
the blockchain to check it,
To make sure it stays
basically.
legit.
Yeah, to make sure it stays
locks
legit.
it in, so there's no multiple people voting with the same social security number.
Yeah. Shout out to Marla joining the ARP family. Appreciate you, sister. Thank you for supporting the channel. But hey, man, I got to get up out of here. I got to get out of here, man. I appreciate you. We're gonna have you. We got to get you back on Friday. We're gonna do basically the whole show Friday. It's gonna be a panel show on Friday. We're gonna get a couple people, and I'll have a bunch of clips. We'll talk about it. We'll probably go for at least probably an hour and a half, 2 hours or so. But today is my anniversary. Do not ask me how many years, because I can't remember it. But it is definitely it's been definitely a long time. But it's good. But the years start to run together when it's good.
That's all.
Ooh,
What year
that's a
did
good
you get
question
married?
too.
You remember?
I can't remember the year either. That's why I
got
can't
married
remember how
in-
long it's been.
I got
But,
married in
it's been a-
2008. So I
Okay.
I may never know the exact day, but I can only say, okay, I was in 2008. So
And
you
do
know,
a quick
10 carry the one over.
calculation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a minute, but I just can't. And I just
You gonna
stopped
take her out on
counting
the golf course?
once we got past 5. I was just like, okay, we good. And it's a good situation. So it's not one of those things where I'm like, I wake up and it's like, man, it's been 10 years, 362 days. It's not like that.
It doesn't matter
not
at
like
that point. It's like,
it doesn't matter. But I appreciate you pulling up as always.
absolutely, brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Anytime.
Go check out my guy Grasso over at Cycle of Judges podcast. Go over there and check him out over there, man. Hey, I'll raps with you later. Take
All right,
care,
brother.
man.
See ya.
I appreciate you guys pulling up, man. Shout out to those that supported the channel. Yeah, it looks like what are we 36 likes away from 500. Hit that like button for me if you haven't done so already. And shout out to you, Natasha. Shipmate, what's up with you? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate your service as well. Absolutely. But if you hadn't done so, hit that like button for me. Thank you very much, B. Thank you very much, Lori. Appreciate you. Thank you, Lynn. It's been a good time, man, but we got a good situation. We got a good thing going on. And she's been a blessing to me for sure. That's been the truth, man. But appreciate you guys. Appreciate the well wishes as well. Like I said, hit that like button on the way out the building. And I appreciate you guys pulling up and rocking with me today. We're going to have a good show tomorrow. It'll be just me tomorrow. And then Friday. What's up, Kenny G? How you doing today, brother? Friday, we're going to do a panel show. It will be a panel show, the entire show. And we'll also do a call-ins as well and allow people to kind of call in and chop it up with us, if that's something that you would be interested in doing. As a part of the panel here and there. So I'm looking forward to that as well this coming Friday. And if this goes well, maybe that will be something that we'll do, going forward is let Friday be a panel day. And then we'll have people call up and just add to the conversation. And, we'll go about it that route. So make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out the building. Appreciate you guys, man. Keep God first in your life. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.